Welcome back, everyone. Today is a very special episode because this is the first time that my in real life has overlapped with my business. And we've got Jamil, who's been my friend for years, well before either of us were in e-commerce. So, Jamil, thanks for being here, man.
So excited to do this finally, and it's great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Well, look, I want to get into this topic because starting a Shopify website that is high converting, like we were talking before this, you've got a bunch of banger ideas that I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy. But before we get into that, why don't you give people a bit of a background about who you are and what you're up to?
Yeah. So our agency is called Other Half. URL's otherhalf.studio. Essentially, what we do is we build beautiful, high converting Shopify storefronts from scratch. So we don't buy a theme and reskin it on the front end, call it custom. We literally will custom design the UX in Figma, write all the copy, be the creative directors, help merchandise all your assets, both visually and from a storytelling perspective, do all the custom development, build you your own net new theme from scratch that nobody else has access to, set it up, and off to the races. We also do branding as well. And yeah, that's kind of what we do in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not surprised that it's been going so well. I've seen websites that you and your co founder slash wife made over the years, and they're absolutely beautiful. So I'm not surprised that the agency is thriving. Mm. So let's get into it because I think a lot of people who are new to the space or are new to the whole Shopify game but have an established Amazon business, they probably look at what you do like you're a Martian or something. Love to, I'd love to get started on like, where should somebody get started? What should they be thinking about when it comes to Shopify and building a high converting website?
I think at the end of the day, it all boils down to trust and authenticity. And again, I'm not as well versed in the Amazon space. So, Sean, if I say something that is not right, you'll be like, Jamil, fuck off. This is not true. So just jump in at any point, call out the
Yeah.
shit. But from what we've seen and dealing with certain Amazon sellers that want to hop to Shopify, is that Amazon's like a great discovery platform, but because it's a platform where essentially you're, I don't want to say renting traffic, like you don't own the traffic, you don't own the data,
No, I'd say that you're renting the traffic. Yeah.
you're
You
renting the traffic.
it's yeah.
So because of that, there's more like utility, right? Where people are comparison shopping against direct competitors. It's a discovery platform where I think there's more utility shoppers, right? And what I mean
Hmm.
by that is like they're more price sensitive, they're comparison shoppers, and they're looking for convenience and the best bang for your buck. So I think brand, while it's important on Amazon, I don't think it has as big of a play as maybe something that's directly D2C, right? Whereas
Hmm.
something on Shopify is a little bit more mid-market premium. I'm not saying there's not mid-market premium, but I think those are the brands that really thrive where they build a little bit more of that emotional connection. They can
Hmm.
afford to have a little bit of that higher margin because people are buying an outcome and not a product.
Mm.
So the conduit to that outcome is the product. It's like I don't need shampoo, I need better hair. I need confidence. I don't need supplements or vitamin C. I need immunity. I need
Mm.
to feel healthier so I can play with my kids because I'm constantly run down. So it's a lot of that trust and storytelling and that authenticity that I think Shopify is a platform at the end of the day, right? It's not
Yeah.
Shopify doing this. It's just enabling the story and the brand to really shine on a platform where you own the data. And it's just a
Yeah.
great commerce tool.
I could not agree more. And it's part of why we always recommend Amazon brands. If they're looking to grow off of Amazon, the first thing we tell them to do is build a Shopify website. A lot of people get really excited about the idea of TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop is just like if Amazon is a rented platform, which we think it is, and we're an Amazon first agency, then TikTok Shop is just like renting a second apartment. And Shopify is like buying a fixer upper and then fixing it up,
Yes.
and I think that's why it's so important. It's like, don't get on TikTok Shop. You're not solving your real problem, which is platform owns you. And yeah, that's the main problem.
I love that analogy. I'm going to steal it from you. That was a damn good one.
Please just reference me.
It sounds good. I think to your point though, like everything, I think TikTok Shop is hot right now. A lot of people speak about it, and it's a great way to get traction. But to your point, and build brand equity. But we've seen this too with a lot of brands will start up, especially new ones on TikTok Shop, and almost get validation, action, and build enough top line revenue to kind of say like, hey, this is a business worth investing in. But then eventually,
Hmm.
like everything, it plateaus, and you have to start diversifying across different channels. And I think the diversity that is Shopify owning your data and
Hmm.
having more of that flexibility to customize that experience. TikTok Shop is very rigid, and same thing with Amazon in terms of like that story you can tell. Essentially, again, to use your analogy, like you're renting space on Amazon and TikTok's platform. At the end of the day, that's why people call it Amazon or TikTok Shop. They're not calling it your brand name, right? So they're not identifying even mentally that like, oh, I'm buying your stuff off TikTok Shop, not I'm buying it off SeanStoneGoods.com. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on it.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, I just bought or my wife just bought me a electric bike for my birthday, and we bought it off Amazon. And I picked it out, and I can't remember the brand name. Like right now, I can't remember the brand name.
Yeah.
I just know that it was cheaper than going to any of the stores near me, so that's why I went with the option on Amazon. And so just the reality of it. I did want to kind of dive deeper into something you said because I think it's really insightful. And you said like there's a lot of utility shoppers on Amazon. And so because of that, a lot of Amazon first brands are only used to selling utility.
Mhm.
How should they start to think about their own website, making their own website, kind of getting onto their like building their own thing, because it's a different mindset, and they're so used to just selling features and benefits instead of selling, like you said, the solution to the person's problems. So I would love to hear how you would get people started.
I think, I would want to take a step back and even get away from Amazon versus Shopify and really understand like, hey, what have you invested in the brand? Because at the end of the day, a
Mm,
brand is a representation of an entity that really isn't real. So it's kind of like, again, it comes back to trust. You're trying to buy a product you've most likely never heard of on a website that you've probably never seen, spun up by someone you don't know, that's promising you some type of benefit or outcome in exchange for your hard earned money that will come
mm,
in days, maybe even sometimes weeks after you've exchanged said money. And you have to trust this the whole way that it'll get to you and also do what it's promising as an outcome. So there's like a lot of things that like come up along the way. And I think brand is a huge part of that. Like utility is like, cool. Like I need glasses. I don't give a shit if the glasses are plastic or glass. I don't care the
mm,
volume. Like I just need glasses. But
mhm,
now it's like, hey, if I buy these glasses, if I buy this like cool round brown cup, like what's the lifestyle that I'm going to associate with this, right? Like what's the community that I feel like I'm going to belong to? And it's like
mm,
a lot of subconscious things that like I always say, uh, at least a good website needs a great brand, and a great brand is kind of like for a good storefront, it's like buying real estate. If you don't have curb appeal, your real estate agent won't even be able to book tours. Therefore, you won't sell the house because people look at it from the outside and it's like, I don't even want to walk in. Right.
yeah.
And so it's like, thinking of it like that very simply, but if the brand isn't there, you can't sell these additional things. Like at the end of the day, clothing is a great example, right? A lot of things have a label slapped on and they have community and association status attached to it. But some of this stuff is made in, like I'm from Bangladesh, some of the stuff is made in Bangladesh. But because it has the label, like it's still good quality stuff, but it's typically a double, triple the markup as something else that's made in H&M in Bangladesh. And you're like,
Mhm.
why the hell is this worth triple?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it comes down to brand. It's that feeling and association that you have created mentally that makes you
Mhm.
feel something through a product.
Mhm. Okay. And I mean, look, I think that there's a lot of merit to your answer. I think a lot of people who listen to this might have a hard time grasping it because, like I said, they're going to think you're a Martian. A lot of the people who really thrive on Amazon are dollars and cents people, so to speak.
So
How do
let's
you how do
maybe
you get them started on thinking like a real brand? Especially if they already have a big business.
throw me a product as an example that I can kind of riff off.
Yeah, let's go out the really nice glasses you have. Like, say you're selling 4 packs, eight packs, and 12 packs of those really cool glasses.
Okay, so if I wanted to kind of sell these glasses a little bit more luxury or a little bit more elegant, the first thing I would try to even differentiate is like, hey, glasses themselves, like, are these now suddenly water glasses? Are they cocktail glasses? Are they whiskey? And then based off of that, what are others in the market doing that I can differentiate? So, like, I'm not a glass maker, but for example, are these glasses ethically sourced? Is it, like crack resistant if I drop it? Because, like, hey, maybe
Mm,
I'm trying to sell to like middle to high income households that have, a little bit more established, they're a little older, they've got kids, they regularly buy more homewares versus someone
mm,
who's, in the 25 to 34-year-old segment. It's the most competitive. I mean, you would know, like, being in the ad space, it's the most competitive segment out there because they're usually the ones that dominate media and trends, but they're broke. And so maybe we're trying to sell to a higher income segment that's a little bit more established, that more 40 to 55-year-old age range, but they
mhm,
most likely have kids. So it's like, hey, we're going to create these luxury glasses in even like different colors, but there's, like crack proof. I'm using the wrong words.
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Ethically sourced. And then we start even thinking about the name where it's like, hey, these aren't brown glasses. This is called Jakarta, the Jakarta set. And
Okay, yeah, yeah.
you start coming up with imagery, you start like sourcing people that maybe it's like you really start thinking about lifestyle. So it's like, hey, now you shoot a quick little video with an influencer drinking this from their cottage
Mm,
as you see like the sunset glistening and like it's a hot couple
mhm,
that you want to
yeah.
be like that's well dressed. And suddenly you're like, shit, I want to be like those people. And the
Mhm,
utility of the glasses is this fits my lifestyle. I've got kids, like I don't have to worry about it breaking. And now I associate this glass with relaxation because of,
mm,
so
yeah,
anyways, I'll keep
okay.
it tight there, but
Yeah, no, I like it, and to be frank, I feel like that's a really good insight, like, a category that maybe is under tapped still is friendly luxury. At least I'm thinking about that from our age demo. A lot of people like Jamil and I graduated university the same year, and a lot of our friends are all married now. Some of them are having kids. That whole like family friendly luxury is an interesting space that I think a lot of people in our specific cohort would be interested in buying. And a lot of Amazon sellers and Amazon first brands would just never think to pursue that as an angle because they're so used to being utility, utility, utility. Adding a brand to an Amazon product seems so foreign. And in the past, if you didn't have the external traffic element, you couldn't charge even a cent more for one of these products than you could one of the other products. So what you're saying makes perfect sense. I like it a lot.
yeah.
Where would you go? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, the final thing I was going to say is like you have to transform a need into a want.
Mm, mhm,
And that's kind of like where the magic sauce lies. Um, right. Because then if you're competing on need,
mhm,
you're competing, but like if people want it,
mhm.
price becomes more elastic.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what I wanted to quickly say
No,
before
I
cutting
I
you off.
agree. As soon as there's any true demand for a product, like the demand that you're capturing that's just anyone wants anyone needs anything, like
Yeah.
you're just fulfilling demand. But what
Yeah.
you're talking about is actually creating demand through
Yes.
brand, visual assets, imagery, and a story. And I think those are tangible things that a brand owner who is maybe Amazon first can actually latch onto. It's like, I want to create a story around this brand. I want to create just some imagery. But that's a hard asset that somebody can take and create. And I want to just think about how that is represented on a website is incredibly logical. And that's something that I think a lot of people who listen to this will be able to take away pretty easily. So yeah, thank you. The first answer, I think a lot of made sense to me, but a lot of Amazon first brands would be like, what?
Yeah, and I'll say this quickly too as a side too. Like, there's also the copywriting side of it with like personas, right? So it's like, hey, you might have the mother in the household that you're trying to speak to specifically, because from the data that you've uncovered that, like, hey, over 40% of my customers that are purchasing are women, with like
Mm,
two kids. So it's like, cool. Now we're gonna speak more to maybe um, you know, like that audience and segment. But then there might be another segment where it's like, hey, I don't know, there's retirees using these glasses as well. So it's like building like different like voices and like different benefits for the different
mm,
personas. Now you get more into landing pages. And this is, I think, where it's more your territory, where it's like, hey, we need to spin up certain landing pages for different personas to test across new audiences and categories to see if there's real demand and traction, or we can lower acquisition costs where it's like, hey, the old retired ladies might actually be more cheaper acquisition costs than the mother of two that's like just kind of starting out in her motherhood and like is stressed out. Again, I don't know, but
yeah,
I think that
yeah.
was actually,
No,
yeah.
that makes perfect sense. So there's going to be a percentage of people who watch this that are just always going to be the DIYers and the people who just want to do it themselves. They don't want to hire a pro, which I personally would recommend because I've seen websites I make and they're not good. But if somebody were to want to do this themselves, how would you point them in the right direction in a way where you feel like you're kind of sending them down a path that's the least likely to fail? What would you do? How would you talk to them? What would you have them think about? Especially if they already had a $2 million a year Amazon business.
I think the first thing I would do foundationally is look at what differentiates them against the market and their competitors, right? So,
Hmm.
if people coming from Amazon, and again, I actually sold on Amazon very briefly with my own skincare brand that I had. We had, probably should have hired you back then, but that's a question for another day. Um, what we kind of realized is that like people on Amazon, I would imagine, are more data focused, right?
Mm,
So it's about taking some of that data and like finding who your competitors are. Maybe,
hmm,
I think Amazon's very like keyword focused, right?
hmm,
So it's like, what are people finding when they search these keywords you're associated with it off Amazon? Who are
mm,
those competitors? What are they doing
hmm,
well? And how do you differentiate your product offering and your brand versus theirs? Right. So it's like, what are the value props? And it's essentially like creating a formula of like, cool, this is these guys, this is me. How can people clearly tell what the difference between us? So it's just understanding that fundamentally. And then from
hmm.
there, if you're going to DIY it, it really comes down to having really good and strong creatives where it doesn't feel like it's AI slop or a dropship site. Let's use dropship as an
Yeah.
example because like this happens on Amazon and other things all the time. It's like
Hmm,
if an Amazon store is killing it, most likely someone's going to just rip and ship that product and page and like create a dupe and like try to
hmm,
start stealing that traffic, right? So it really comes down to like, hey, if I'm going to DIY it, how can I build a little bit of a moat by creating
hmm,
a very strong brand and visual identity, but also
hmm,
investing in like the community to start generating traffic and organic content and like reviews from like real people and videos so that people have less chance of being skeptical. But if it's all just product photos and like product specs, people buy from people at the end of the day. Like, no matter what is out
Yeah.
there, it was a person who created this product. And
Mhm.
so, how can I like create that authenticity? So, like I said, video reviews is a great way,
Mhm.
implementing UGC, showing social proof. If you have any PR, if you distribute through like certain retailers that are well known,
Mm.
it's like taking what you do with Amazon reviews, right? And just kind of visually merchandising that in more dynamic and varied ways so that people see it a few times as they're scrolling through your site. You're like, okay, products look legit. Oh shit, cool. They actually have a pretty big Instagram following. There's a bunch of videos of people talking about the product. And oh, they were in Elle magazine, or oh wow, they're in
Mm.
GQ. Well, okay, cool. Oh shit, they're in Sephora? And suddenly you're like, okay, I trust these guys. Again, I'm not saying a startup will suddenly get into Sephora, but you get this. You got the idea.
Yeah, the social proof element, the way that you talk about the brand, the way that you display that you are a real authentic brand because you don't have the trust element that Amazon gives you. You need to build up a website that looks beautiful, that looks like it's a real brand running it. And I couldn't agree more. I think that is incredibly logical. That's exactly what people want. So, yeah, just give the people what they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if, and I guess as we kind of like make our way through this journey of like, okay, we're building a website by starting with a brand, creating assets that make sense, and then starting to build something that kind of represents. And I think that's a really thoughtful way. It's like, how would your Amazon reviews jump off the page? Because I think that social proof element and the user generated content are two things that a lot of Amazon sellers really underestimate. But like, as you kind of are trying to build through the different pages, build up something that you think, okay, I can finally start running external traffic to this. What are some of the final things you do to get yourself from brand with no website, a brand with a nice homepage, to real brand that runs Facebook ads? What are some of the things you would do to kind of finish that journey? What's the tail end look like?
I think to make it really simple, for most websites, it's have a really strong hero. At the end of the day,
Mm,
what's there above the fold? People make a buying decision on whether they trust this brand or not in 0.05 seconds, so under a second. So if your hero looks like crap, everything else that you do after is useless if you can't get them to scroll down the page, right? So having media rich hero, having things like video, having people, having a product demo, something that just screams it's like a nice car. I hate to say it, it sounds cheesy, but if I claim to be successful and I drive like a shitbox like car that's breaking apart versus if I have some luxury vehicle, people are just immediately their first impression will be like, okay, like
mhm,
so and so is successful. Whether that's super surface level or not, that's just instinctually how people say it. So a really strong hero with
mm,
with a clear message on what the product is and an outcome based statement. It's not it's not you know um glasses that glasses that hold your water, you know um it's luxury unbreakable glasses that you can enjoy anywhere from home to your cottage table, right? So it's much more of a statement that you're like, oh, cool. Like I get what this is and I see myself maybe being part of that. So it's kind of like clarity converts, confusion kills. That's kind of like
mm,
a statement I like to say. So that's super important in your hero. And then on your PDP, it's a little bit more like treat it like a product demo plus an FAQ and make it super easy to shop within your PDP and treat it like a landing page. All right. So it's like, again, if they don't buy right away, have certain tactics like a sticky add to cart, have
mm,
things like a comparison chart, have collapsible modules that are like overcome objections like, shit, if I buy this, can I return it? So have your return, information
Yeah,
there instead of in like a new page that people have to go and find. Do I even ship to this country? Like more
yeah.
like objection based handling in your PDP, but
Mm.
don't distract people with it either. It's only if they're looking for it, make it easy to surface.
That is really well thought out, and you're kind of like being really empathetic. You're thinking like, what would my experience be like if I were coming to this website for the first time? You're taking that approach and saying, okay, let's treat building this website with the fresh eyes of what we would want a website to be like. I think that's really cool.
It's like a good first date. You want the person to feel safe. You want them to feel heard. You want them to feel like you understand them. And you also want them to know enough about you to continue the date. You know what I mean? So I don't want to say websites like dating, but it's like there's a lot of
Yeah.
complex information that you have to merchandise and make it simple enough to read one screen at a time without overwhelming people and feeling
Mm.
certain websites have so much text in them that I feel like I'm studying for a fucking university exam again. I'm trying to cram for an exam. I'm like, oh my god, like just
Oh,
fucking tell me what this does for me, like easier. I don't want to read through all this shit.
I'm just picturing managerial accounting all over again. That was
Don't
a
even
bad class for me.
C plus
Yeah.
baby. That was one of my worst
Like
classes.
I think I might have gone even lower than C plus, but D's that get degrees, baby.
I like that. I like.
Yeah. Well, look, Jamil, I feel like you've really brought a lot of super valuable insights and ideas for anyone who was listening to this. If people want to learn more about you, what you do, where can they find you? How can they get in touch?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Jamil Bhuya, JAMIL BHUYA. Get me on LinkedIn or it's otherhalf.studio. That's the URL. Pretty easy to find us. You can email us from there. I'll check it. And yeah, would love to get in touch with anybody. Just hit me up. I'll answer you.
Yeah. Jamil's very plugged into the Shopify ecosystem. So if you're anywhere in those circles, you can also find him there. Throws lots of events. I mean, you'll Jamil's easy to find if you look for him. So we'll put the links in the show notes. Jamil, thanks for being the first person that I was friends with before e-commerce to come on my podcast.
Yeah, no worries,
It's
bro.
yeah, you took a very special spot. Thanks so much, man.
No, man, I appreciate it. Happy to see you crushing it. And definitely, this was a pleasure. Thank you for having me, bro.
Anytime. All right. Well, thanks again. And for everyone else, until next time.